Hey, what's up everyone? Ruben here, Kindred Dog PDX. This here is the Kindred Dog Podcast. And on this episode, I want to talk about dog training and dog owners, or dog trainer and dog owner. And somehow, I think there might be or just people thinking that these two are not related, okay? And, something that has definitely been on my mind, especially lately, we've been focusing a lot more on lessons and coaching people on how to coach their dogs. And it really makes me think, if you are a dog owner, if you have a dog, you are a dog trainer. These things are not separate, okay? Like, being a dog owner, you have got a dog, you brought it into your house, whether it's a puppy, a rescue, what have you. You have brought a creature, an animal, a living, breathing thing into your home, okay? And it's up to you to learn about this dog, right? Just like you would anything else, Imagine if you got lizards, right? You're going to read up on lizards. What kind of lights do I need? What sort of environment do I need to create for them, right? And it's the same thing for the dogs. It's like, if we bring a dog into our house and we don't know much about the dog, we got to educate ourselves. We've got to learn about the dog. We've got to learn about dogs. We've got to learn about training. We've got to learn about body language, dog psychology, all of these things, right? It's not just bringing an animal into the house and just letting the dog be, most behavior problems come from that mindset. Come from the mindset of, I'm just going to get a dog and they're just going to live with me in my house, okay? Yes, there are always exceptions to things. Yes, you might get a dog, you might purchase a dog, rescue a dog who doesn't require much from you, okay? But in my experience, those are the exception. Most dogs require a lot of effort from us, a lot of effort, okay? And they're not just an easy, walk in the park sort of thing. We have to really educate ourselves a ton. I had to do that, with one of my rescue dogs, the first rescue dog that I had a little puppy, and I did a lot of research on her as well, because I didn't want her to be like other little dogs. So we did a lot of training, I wanted to set her up for success, right? But I educated myself a ton because I knew that I knew nothing about dogs. All right. Again, just because you had a dog growing up, it doesn't mean anything, and most people skip this part. Most people skip this part of, I'm just a dog owner, and I don't need to do any of this stuff. And again, that's really where the problem, I think, lies, is that we think that there is a difference between dog trainer and dog owner. And I definitely believe that these two things they're the same. I was once a dog owner and then turned into a dog trainer because I just loved working with dogs and coaching people. And, this I felt was my calling, not to say that you have to go out and, start training other people's dogs, right? But I do think you have to educate yourself, get on the same page, and learn about your dog. That's how problems are going to be prevented. That's how you're going to not have to spend a bunch of money on training. I still think, a coach is always beneficial, they can help give you insight and guide you and, help you figure out maybe the intricacies that your dog has. Every dog is different. Some dogs are going to be easier, some dogs are going to be harder, some dogs are wired differently, and so having a set of eyes can definitely be helpful for that. But, if you do the basis of just educating yourself, there are thousands of books out there. There are thousands of YouTube videos out there that can help you just understand the psyche of your dog a little bit better. And I think we need to get out of this mindset of just like, I just want a dog, I just want to get a dog and they're just going to live with me, It's like, yes, get a dog, but know that you have to do all of this work. I think a lot of people get in over their head when it comes to a dog, because, we have this understanding or this idea that I can just bring this dog in and like I'm going to do a little bit of training and it's going to be good, and that's just not the case. These are, these are living, breathing creatures who can make choices, and they're not robots. There's just so many things that go on. And yes, they can learn how to coexist in our environment, right? But they need our help. They're not wired for this world. A good documentary that you should watch on Netflix is called Inside the Mind of Dogs. And it's a really fascinating documentary, and it definitely helped shift, I think, a lot on how I think about dogs. Just in the fact of like their brain wiring, and how they perceive our world, because they're not wired for it. So I think everyone should really watch that documentary. It's a really good one. But we have to educate ourselves about our dogs and understand that training takes time. Your dog is an adolescent until 3 years of age. That's when their brain becomes fully developed. Up to that point, they're just like, it's mush in there. You know what I mean? They are, they're constantly taking in information. They're learning what goes on where, how does this work? What are you like? What is the world like around me? All of these things, they're learning about all of these things. And so when they're 3 years of age, that's when their brains fully develop. And, their experiences are going to be like, I don't want to say solidified, because you can always teach an old dog new tricks, but their perception of the world is going to be like, oh, this is how it is, okay? And it's just going to require more work from you to change the things you don't like, or, if you want them to do different things, like it's going to take more effort on your part. So there's, those first 3 years are super crucial for you to shape the dog that you want. I mean, I think that's what's so great about dogs is like, yes, they're these living, breathing creatures who are designed for the woods, but they can learn how to adapt and live in this human world that we have brought them in. Okay. But again, just going back, like, it really, we need to stop separating dog owner to dog trainer. Once you bring a dog into your house, you are that dog's dog trainer. And any dog that you're going to bring into your house, you are that dog's dog trainer. So you have to act as such. You've got to do what your dog trainer does, okay? Or what a dog trainer would do, It's not always going to be the easiest, right? But this is like big picture stuff, If you want that go anywhere dog, it's going to take go anywhere type work. It doesn't just happen. And again, yes, I do know, and people might comment like, well, my dog was great. I just got her and, didn't really do nothing with her, and she was fantastic. Great. I'm happy for you, right? I love that you got an easy dog and they didn't push you, right? That's great. But that is the exception, and most dogs require a ton of effort. Even my puppy that I had, she still required a ton of effort, okay? It wasn't no walk in the park, okay? And yes, some dogs just naturally, they're pretty good, Could they be better? Probably. But, for the most part, it's like they can fit in pretty nicely and there's no issues, But that's not always the case. You should always 100% plan on, I need to train this dog, okay? Because if you hope for the best, that's not a good path. That's not a good strategy of hoping things are going to turn out. I always tell clients, you want to be proactive and not reactive. So proactive is going to be you actively training your dog and setting yourselves up for success, because that's going to prevent so much headache on your part, stress on your part, stress on your dog. It's going to just prevent so much, Okay. So yes, have the mindset that if you bring a dog into your house, I'm this dog trainer now. All right. So what is a dog trainer going to do? And consult YouTube, consult books. There's so many resources out there that you can train your dog without hiring a trainer. But I would always still, I would definitely think about hiring a trainer. Hire a personal coach. Okay, that's what they're there for, is to help you, help guide you and show you, hey, you don't have to make all these mistakes, right? Let's just do this, boom, and we can just be on the pathway. Okay, help clear the roadblocks, stuff like that. But yeah, so that was on my mind. Dog trainer, dog owner, not separate things. You are your dog's dog trainer, and I think it's time that we start embracing that. And because I even hear trainers talk about that, like dog owners, and they don't have the time. It's like, no, you got a dog, you are a dog trainer now. Doesn't matter that you have this other job and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, I understand that, but you've got to make time for your dog. You've got to make time to train your dog. You've got to do these things. And, that's part of why we are doing so many more lessons, and so we can show people how to fit this into your life, right? It's no different than having a child. Right? You have a baby, but you still had all this other work to do, right? So you have to learn how to navigate that. It's the same thing, okay? It's the same exact thing. You've got to learn how to incorporate these things, training your dog, doing all that stuff, into your existing life. You have to better your handling skills. You have to become better. I mean, that is the reality of it. And, it's just something that people have to do, Board and trains, I think, are, they can be helpful, okay? But I think they just continue to create that separation between dog owner and dog trainer. I'm just going to send my dog to the dog trainer, and then they're going to come back and I can just live with the dog. But the caveat is always, the dog trainer needs to train you on what they were doing. Otherwise, your dog is just going to go right back to doing what they were doing before with you, right? Because they know that, I did this with the dog trainer in this context, but you are not the same. Okay, I did these things with you, right? So the dog trainer has to train you anyways on everything that they did, so that your dog does the same in both places. Okay, so there's still training on your end. And also, it's depending on the type of dog you have to better your skill set to be able to handle your dog, right? These dog trainers were able to get your dog to a really good space because they have impeccable handling. And now you need to have impeccable handling, because your dog will spot the holes in your game. They will, right? Dogs are opportunistic creatures, and it's not about being stubborn or dominant or anything like that. They're just they want the path of least resistance. And if they know that okay, when I'm with this person, they know what to do, they know what the deal is, I know I have to do these things in order to get what I want. But then when they're with you or someone else, they're going to be but I don't have to do those things in order to get what I want. I can do these things. I can do it this way with you, right? And so that's why you have to be educated on everything that the dog trainer did and their handling and all of that stuff. You have to learn all of that in order to get the same stuff from the dog. Okay, so it still requires a bunch of training on your end. So, I mean, it's the board and train isn't the fix. Okay, there's still owner training there. And, and I think a lot of the times that board and train situation, again, I think it continues to create that divide between dog owner and dog trainer. But you still have to learn. You still have to get, you still have to educate yourself. You still have to develop better handling skills. So it's you still have to become the dog's dog trainer. The The dog trainer has only just like sped things along a little bit. Okay. But again, your dogs will just go right back to doing what they were doing before if we aren't to the same level. And that's just the reality of the dog. Okay. And it's not for a lack of training or anything like that. It's just dogs are opportunistic, and they will, like I said, hunt for holes in the game where it's like, oh, cool, I don't have to wait at the door to go outside. I can just rush past you. Perfect. That's the easiest way for me to get outside so I can go pee. Okay. So you are your dog's dog trainer. Just going to leave it there. Okay. Anyways, thanks for listening. This one's a little bit longer. I usually try to keep them at like 10 minutes or so. But we have a ton of training programs that help you become your dog's dog trainer. We have an online dog training program called Calm and Connected. It's a dog training reset. It helps you build up all the fundamentals. Okay. This is something that I think is always missing when we're working with people's dogs is like, there's no fundamentals on board. There's no clear relationship on board. Right. So this course helps you develop a skill set. Okay. Developing communication, developing your relationship, developing motivation, working on obedience commands, working on the walk, talks about lifestyle components that all aid in just getting the behavior that you want with your dog, because everything is connected. So we have this Calm and Connected online dog training program. You also get access to a Facebook group so you can ask me questions, directly related to your dog and the problems that you might be experiencing, because it's just a blueprint. Every dog is different, but this blueprint can be applied to every single dog, no matter where you're at. Anxious dog, reactive dog, aggressive dog, all of that. This is the standard blueprint for all of that. And then, yes, there's going to be outliers. Okay. We've got private lessons, where we do in-home sessions with you, work with you directly, you and your dog, with video coaching along. So when we're not together, you can send in video to me and I watch them, send you feedback. This has been so helpful for so many dog owners because they get direct feedback from me the next day or day of, and we can spot little things. It's like a trainer's eye. And now I'm like, oh, yep, let's work on that part, right? Maybe fix this, do that here. And so that's super helpful because you will miss those things, especially when you're training your dog and especially when you're learning something new. So you're the dog's coach and I'm your coach, right? So you're my eyes when we're not together. And then we've also got a 4-week intensive where, it's a 4-week intensive, so there's a little bit more work involved. But we have weekly coaching calls with that. You get PDFs, videos, all of these things to, again, help you develop the fundamentals with your dog. Because once the fundamentals are in place, so many things become easier to teach. But then, again, those things are almost always missing when I go into people's homes. So the more you can get started on those, even if you did want to do lessons then at that point, it's like your dog already has a really strong foundation and it can make what we work on a lot easier and also change up what we work on, okay? Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, my dog is reactive, but they won't take food outside. Well, we can't work on the reactivity then, okay? We have to build up certain skill sets in order to be able to work on the things that your dog struggles with, all right? So yeah, private lessons. There's a special homeschooling thing in there as well where I actually work your dog a few days a week just to offer a little bit of extra support and, just nudge things along a little bit faster. So you can ask me about that as well. But, hit us up on our website. Hit me up on Instagram. We're on YouTube. We've got a full YouTube page there, a bunch of videos. But if you have questions, hit me up. I'm happy to chat with you about your dog. Schedule a free consultation so we can talk and get something going. All right. So anyways, hope you all have a great day, and we will talk to you next time. Bye.